and Lansing.
Okay. Would MRS like to introduce themselves?
Good afternoon. I'm Meridian Southland. I'm here in Kalamazoo. I have my own practice and director of Life Launch Counseling. And an intern.
Okay, Amy, would you like to introduce yourself? Amy Lemke.
Behavioral health in Saginaw. We are a practice of and we're just looking to figure out what's going on with all of this.
Okay, Suzanne Lovelet.
Counseling, which is in Lapeer, which is about 20 miles east of Flint. Senate, if I can remember correctly.
Okay, C. Bowser.
Let's see. Hi, everyone. Charlotte Bowser, Director of Finance at Kalamazoo Integrated Services of Kalamazoo. We're in Kalamazoo and we have many therapists on hand. So just trying to figure it all out. Thanks.
Lisa. Lisa, would you like to introduce yourself?
I already did, but I can do it
Okay,
again
oops.
if you'd like.
No, that's okay. Who have I missed? Just jump in.
Mallory Godin. I am the owner of Restore and Renew Counseling, and we have an office in Lansing and Brighton, and it's 15 clinicians, and we have a lot of Medicaid that we take. So I'm just trying to figure all this out as well.
Okay, did I miss anybody?
I'm Suzanne Meinke, and I own Meaningful Connections Counseling in Kalamazoo. We have about 17 clinicians and 3 or 4 interns right now.
And
Okay,
hi,
and I
everybody.
have
I'm Sheila. I would say I'm Sheila Hibbs. I'm with Integrated Services of Kalamazoo as well. And I'm also a contracted therapist here in Kalamazoo County.
Okay,
Hi, I'm
and then we
Charlene
have-
Brown, and I
Perfect.
own Reinhardt Institute here in Kalamazoo.
Carol, I saw you on here. Could you unmute yourself and introduce yourself?
Hi, everybody. So sorry, I'm having internet trouble. I'm Carol Berger. I'll be here and hear Michelle's information.
Alicia Brown. Did I miss anybody? Oops, they're in the, okay, I have another person in the waiting room. Okay. Okay, message. All right. Okay. Okay, and then did anyone not introduce themselves? I have one more person that is almost on introducing themselves, Alicia Brown. Would Alicia Brown like to introduce herself?
Yes. Hello, I'm an LPC. I'm from Michigan.
Okay, so I want to tell everyone that I want everyone to feel free to add or interrupt me, because I am completely and totally good with that. If you want to raise your hand in the chat and do it that way, Troy will let me know. If you have questions, you can put them in the chat. He has my outline and will give you the information that I'm presenting. So as I said, I'm Michelle Zukowski-Serlin, and I am the former president of the Psychotherapy Consortium of Southwest Michigan. I don't believe there is a president right now. We have one more person coming in. So we're actually doing, I think this is a very good attendance for the amount of, for this situation. So let me tell you, this will be on every single social media. We are recording it. And every single social media that I'm involved with for therapists. And if you would like to also add on to that, that would be great. If you want to share this when it goes up so we can reach as many therapists as possible. Our last meeting reached over 400 therapists when I look at the amount that listen to it, and we keep getting more people coming on as we go along. So I want to start with, please interrupt me, like I said before, I'm good with that. Just unmute yourself if I miss anything. So I want to start with what happened. Well, all of us opened up our mail sometime in January, and all of our sessions after December 22nd from Meridian were reduced by 30%. And people said, why? Some people called in like me and were told that it was an error. Other people, there was a variety of things. It was not an error. What happened was approximately 6 or 7 months ago, there was a complaint made to the Office of the Inspector General. So people know what that is. That is a federal office. It is run by Attorney General Garland. And because Medicaid has a combination of both of being met, the federal grants are matched by the state, or the state is matched by the federal. The Inspector General for the federal government also you can file a complaint with him. There was a complaint registered against a separate, completely having nothing to do with Meridian problem. The problem was that a physician's office was billing non-physicians using the physician's code, and insurance companies were billing the physician code for non-physicians. It was found that they were guilty of that. And as a result, the Office of Inspector General checked all of the different insurances that were government-based insurances, Medicare, Medicaid, and Obamacare, to make sure that they were billing the accurate codes. Meridian was found to be billing physician codes for non-physician services. What this means is that they received the physician contract amount. When each managed care makes a deal, essentially, the deals are actually made with your state, with MDHHS, and they have their contracts. They have an amount of money for physicians and for non-physicians. That schedule can be found on your CHAMPS MDHHS website. For 90837, it is $64.19 for adults and $69.99 for under 21. Because they were billing the higher code, which is 87 and 93 for 90837, they received more money, not only for the for reimbursing us, but also for their other services. They're all attached in the contract agreement, which they do have to redo their contracts in April this year. Meridian, all of the managed cares redo their contracts in April this year. As a direct result, this whistleblower complaint was found valid. And so then what happened was that they checked all the other insurance companies, because Meridian was found to be doing the same action, billing non-physicians with physician codes for their own reimbursement. They were found guilty, and they had to change their code to a non-physician code, making it so they would receive the reimbursement in their contract for 6419 to reimburse us. But there are 5 different areas, as I understand it, that they receive money, and those include administration, billing, and all of that goes into their lump sum that they get. So essentially, they had a choice of whether to continue the 87 rate or to put it on us. So they did not inform us, and they put it all on us and went down to the 6419. Now, I don't know if Priority Health, Blue Cross Complete, McLaren and Aetna, who are continuing to pay the 87 rates, were found also guilty. But if they were, they had to change their codes. And if they were, they are continuing to do that. Would a form of this be billing psychotherapy through a psychiatrist? No, this wasn't our doing. But basically, yes, that would be us cheating if we did that. If we did that, that would be the same thing as what the insurance companies. The question is, would a form of what I'm explaining be psychotherapy through a psychiatrist? Yes, except the insurance company was doing it for their reimbursement. Any questions so far? And it took a while, to be honest with you, to get all this information. It was very hard. It was even hard for the legislators to get all the information. But it was really hard to find all this out and understand exactly what happened. But this is what happened. So Meridian then sent us our checks, where all of a sudden we're saying, what the heck happened to the rest of it? It's all gone. What happened to the other amount of money? And they said, we're not giving it to you. This is your new rate. We have to go back. They chose to put it all on us. That was their decision. In their presentations, they say they were forced by the Office of the Inspector General. The only thing they were forced to do was to bill the correct code. In their contracts, the 6419 is the floor. They cannot reimburse us below that, but they can reimburse us above that. That is very clear. That has been confirmed by numerous people, by MDHHS, and that also has been confirmed by legislators, that it is a floor, not a ceiling. That is why we are being given higher rates by other organizations who did not choose to give us the lowest possible rate. So in the process, there's been a huge reaction. There have been therapists that have said, I'm not taking Meridian anymore. There are therapists that have said, if you are getting, Suzanne, if you are getting less than that from United Healthcare, you have to ask to renegotiate your contract. And I'm going to go over that, but I'll just say it for here. You call Lori Moncherry. I was also getting less. I renegotiated my contract. The question is interesting because United Healthcare Medicaid pays less than that. They only pay less than that if they had an amount written in your contract when you first got it, and they have not upgraded the contract. They rely on you to make sure your contract is upgraded. I've learned a lot of things through this whole process. And so you call Laura, you send an email to Lori Moncherry at Lori, L-O-R-I. Troy, can you write this? It's on my thing in the chat. L-O-R-I period MONCHERRY at optum.com, and make a request that your contract be revisited and that you ask for equal rates. You're right, it won't increase automatically, but it will increase once the contract is signed, and it should be all dates after the new agreement.
Michelle, can you do that again very slowly, please? You did that a little fast. Plus my
It's in the letter that you have. It's on the first page under
Typing thing.
3. You'll see Lori, Lori, period, Moncherry, Moncherry at optum.com. And that is the person you speak to ask to renegotiate your contract. They are not willing to go above that, but they are very honest. They tell you it is the choice of their board, which is the truth. It is not the choice of MDHHS. They just can't pay below that unless they have it written in your contract. So you have to make sure your contract says that for the negotiated rate that they are paying for MDHHS. And you have to talk to Lori to make that happen for United Healthcare. Okay. So I'm going to go on with this unless there are any more questions about what you can do, what you can specifically do to make changes. Now, there are a couple of things I'm going to talk about that can be done that we can do to make changes, but I'm not there yet. So Meridian has tried to meet people halfway because their board is unwilling to keep the same rates, the $87. The way they're willing to meet you part of the way is to give you a new contract, and they do contracts by percentages. So if your contract is 100%, then you would get the MDHHH rest exact amount. They are doing contracts up to 120%. And this is who you contact to get the rate. It will not say a rate in the contract. It'll say a percentage of the rate that they are paying. And they are willing to renegotiate anyone's contract who calls them. It is very important that you do this because you will, and I will go back to this later and explain better why the importance of this, because of the percentage. Because if they raise the lowest floor rate, you still get, if you get a contract of 120%, it's still 120% of whatever they raise the rate to. So it is important that you call to renegotiate your contract. And Troy is going to put up this information, which is on his paper. And so there are 2 people to contact. You can contact one or both of them. The first one is Kim Lubbers, Lubbers, and she's the Vice President of Networking and Contracting. This is her address, and Troy is going to put this in the chat. Her address is Kimberly, Kimberly, period, Lubbers, Lubbers, at MyMeridian, MyMeridian.com. And that's the first person. And her phone number is 313-269-7320. And Troy is going to put this in the chat. The second one is Carl Rashid, Rashid, and he's the Compliance and Chief Public Affairs Officer. His email is Carl, CARL, period, Rashid, RASHID, at MyMeridian.com. And his phone number is 313-268-7735. And I cannot tell you how important it is for you to do that, to make that call. If you don't have a contract, unfortunately, you can't get a rate increase. So it's up to you whether you want a contract or not, but that contract will be the percentage rate increase. And this is what they presently are willing to do. Who is on? Does somebody have a question? Oh, I guess that person. Okay, so this is what we need to do in going forward, because there are other things that are also being done. And so those other things are, and of course, calling United Healthcare and renegotiating your contract with Lori Monchery. This is what the bad news is that the Office of the Inspector General may force Meridian to return the money that they have received for billing the wrong code. They say that it's an error. I don't know if there was an error or not. It could very likely have been an error and they just put the wrong code in. Who knows with technology, but this is Meridian's error. MDHHS has asked them not to do 2 to 3 year clawbacks of the difference. For my agency, that's about $176,000. We don't have that. It would bankrupt us. We wouldn't be paid. We have about 100 Meridian clients. For other people, I know there are people on here that have a lot of people in their agency. And even if you're only by yourself, that's a lot of money to give back. So MDHHS does not want them to do clawbacks. Legislators have talked to them about not doing clawbacks, but they could have to return the money that they received. And that will lead to one of the things that I'm going to talk about that you can do to make that better. So, any questions so far?
I'm sorry.
Yes, I'm gonna talk
Clawbacks, is that what did you say
Go ahead.
clawbacks?
Yes, clawback means they take back the excess 30% that we've been paid over the period of time that we've been paid it.
And then you said that they asked them, MDHS asked them not to do it for 2 to 3 years, or for how long? Or does that matter?
MDHS asked them not to do clawbacks. They're not in favor of it. They can do it. They have the right to do that in their contract. If they have money taken back, they have the right to take it back from us. They may suffer some pretty big repercussions for doing that. And Meridian has 40% of the contract for Medicaid in the state. And they are up for renewal of their contract along with everyone else in April.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Thank you.
No one else has any other questions?
I have a question. So,
Okay. I can't hear you.
oh, can you hear me now?
Yes, I can, Mallory. Oh, now I can't. Can you write it in the chat?
Oh,
Okay.
yeah, I can write in the chat. Yep.
Okay. And I'll read your question. And I'm going to get to what the lobbyists are working on in a minute. I want to make sure everyone's clear about this and go piece by piece. Okay, who can see the messages recording on? I think that you can see the messages when you watch it, because it's on the side of my screen. I'm not totally sure. But it is okay. This might be a little.
No, you will have to
forward-thinking.
copy. You won't be able to see the chat after in the recording unless I think you have to save the chat, and there's a way to do it afterwards, but sorry about that.
Okay, hopefully Andy knows that. There might be a little too forward thinking regarding other Medicaid plans, but is there talk they might follow suit? Yes, there is talk they might follow suit. They have not. I haven't seen any decreases in our payments. Additionally, can we have conversations with clients to change plans? Of course you can. You're free to do whatever you want. And in April, there will be, changes because of the change in requirement for Medicaid, because of the end of the coronavirus situation. And during then, people will be allowed to change also during that time of year. And people can change their Medicaid based on the last number of their Medicaid number is the month they can change. And also during the open enrollment period, ask legislators to ask if the Office of Inspector General forces Meridian to pay these things back, if they legislators would offer a deal in which the money is returned not through clawbacks. Yes, I'm going to be talking about that. You're reading, Troy, you're reading the thing and you're asking my stuff, putting my stuff on ahead of me talking about it. So I am going to talk about that. Okay. So what are our lobbyists doing? Oh, wait, do I have any more questions about the clawbacks? Any questions about getting your contracts redone with United Healthcare and with Meridian? Okay, so now we're going to go to what the lobbyists for MMHCA, which is MHACA, and Michigan NASW are doing. Their sole goal, this is the most important thing that they can do, is to try and change the bottom floor rate, to raise that $64.19 back to $87. And so what we need is for people to, is for us to support the lobbyists in doing that. And there are 3 things to revise the bottom floor rate. And I'm going to get to the deal on clawbacks, and I'm going to get to all of that. I met with a couple of legislators and former legislators, and they have given me a lot of ideas on things that we can do to support the lobbyists. And I'm going to get to that in a minute. There are 2 things that we can do these are the 2 most important things we can do to support the rate change. The first thing is that we communicate with our legislators and ask them to do a line item raise in budget on the line item to fund reimbursements for healthcare with a specific direction to raise the reimbursement rate for non-physicians for 90837. This goes hand in hand with the work for the lobbyists. We want to ask that 90837, 90834, that it is returned back to the amount that it was before, $87 for 90837, for over 21, $93, for under 21, and I believe it was $170 for an initial session. Now, it is important to write your legislator and be specific that we want the non-physician rate to increase with MDHHS. However, we have to ask for that to be funded because the lobbyists are working on it, but we need funding for that. That's the first letter. The second letter would be one to ask if the Office of Inspector General requires Meridian to return the amount that they were overpaid because they billed the wrong code, that they will work with Meridian to cut a deal where they would have to return less in exchange for no clawbacks with us. Now, do I have any volunteers to write example letters? And I will give you more information if you agree to write. Carol, I'm hoping you say yes because you're a good writer. And I'm also going to ask one of my staff and Troy, of course, because Troy's a great writer also, to write some sample letters that we can send out and put up asking people to write their legislators to do these 2 things. And also to call your legislators in your area to ask them to support these 2 things. So let's talk about what are the reasons that you would put in those letters. And if you want to write them on the side, I have several reasons that Troy and I brainstormed that would be included in those letters. do I get any volunteers to write sample letters? This is really important because I'm going to tell you, if you look at what happened with the LPCs and how they are able to practice and the legislation that changed, that happened because people went to their legislators. The only way that we're going to have a change to our benefit is if people go out there and talk and try and make a difference. You can make a difference. People want to be reelected. And the only way to make that difference happen is if you go out and do what you can to speak to legislators and to ask them to please raise the bottom line MDHHS rates. They don't have power to raise it, but they have power to fund it with the recommendation that it's raised. And they can do that through the line item. I will have the line item number. I do not have it today. Someone was getting it for me and they don't have it yet. And I will include that in the letter. So do I have any questions so far? And do I have any volunteers? Carol, will you write a letter? You could write it in the chat that you would do that. That I can use as a sample. So we have a couple of
I will
samples
ask
of
somebody
letters.
on our, I will ask somebody from our team.
Oh, that would be awesome. And if you want to call me, my
Yes.
phone number, can you write this in the chat, Troy? 269, well, you know it, 269-501-3123. So these are some of the ideas that Troy and I came up with. He's writing them in there. Emphasize how important this is to mental health of your clients. A deterioration of mental health has society-wide implications. So does anyone have ideas they have why either of these two things would be really important? Let's start with the letter to increase funding for MDHHS to raise the scale to allow us for livable wages. Okay, so okay, great. So first of all, what we would like is you have to, first of all, in the state of Michigan, access to mental health is, whenever they do a survey, it's between number 5 and 8 of 10 for concerns of people in Michigan. And legislators know that how important it is to make sure that there is mental health access. Because, for instance, this is a very important piece of information. When rates raised during COVID, there was a huge increase of providers willing to take Medicaids, all the Medicaids, not, all the managed cares, not just Meridian. And so it's very important that they know that you will have a shortage of mental health services if you do not do everything you can to increase the access to mental health. Second, okay, this decrease is financially sustainable for BBH to continue to provide outpatient treatment. Okay, so the decrease is not financially sustainable for a lot of providers to continue to treat Medicaid patients, because the decrease makes it that we can't afford to do that treatment. And so, because of all the things that are involved in treatment, first of all, what's involved in treatment? You have to pay for an office, you have to pay for a receptionist, you have to pay for billing, there are so much different overhead. You don't make $87.19 an hour or $64.19 an hour. You make, when it's all said and done, half of that is going to your costs. And that is not a livable wage. And the other point is that Priority Health, Blue Cross Complete, McLaren, Aetna have not lowered their rates. So the decrease is fine. Okay, so I'm reading these messages as they're coming in. Some of what I said were people's messages. I want to see if I missed any here. Okay, review a letter, emphasize how important it is. So someone already wrote a letter. Could you send me a copy of your letter so that I can you send me a copy of your letter so that I can also use that? Maybe for other people to use that? Okay, you'll be able to access the recording of the Zoom after Andy comes here. It'll be on the LPC, it'll be on Michigan Mental Health, it'll be on Kalamazoo Mental Health, it'll be on a variety of the Facebook groups. And I'm also going to be sending it out to the people I sent an email to in the past. Okay, any other ideas? The other thing is, what do therapists do? We lower crime rate. We teach parenting.
I have a question, Michelle.
healing. Huh?
Sorry, Michelle, I have a question. You said that Blue Care Complete and Aetna Medicaid did not reduce their rates. And who else? You said somebody else, I thought too, that did not reduce their Medicaid rates.
Priority Health and McLaren have the exact same rates.
Okay.
Unless, has anyone received a lowering of rates from them? Because I haven't. So no one's jumping up to say they haven't either. So I'm assuming that, and probably our rate is the same as everyone else's. So if someone else's rate's lower, our rate's lower also. The other thing is, it's important that we're looking at people who have contracts, if their rate's lowered or not, because they can do whatever they want with people who are non-contracted, to be honest with you. In a way, they can do whatever they want to people who are contracted. All right, now, so I think it's important to talk about everything that therapists do in this community, why it is so important. And the big thing is that we lower domestic violence, child abuse, and you don't have access to mental health, then you're going to have a lot more of this stuff, and it's going to be a much tougher situation. So I don't think that Republicans or Democrats are opposed to access to mental health. And so I think that if we can get across the damage that is being done and what that damage will translate to in terms of accessibility, then I think that we should be able to do a multiplier effect, someone wrote. Exactly, a multiplier effect. So then the next thing is let's talk about why no clawbacks. First of all, I can tell you that from a lot of my chats from people online, I know that hundreds of therapists are going to close their doors to Meridian clients the minute that we have clawbacks, because as everyone knows, their only way of accessing money through us is through clawbacks and through future therapy sessions. I also know that there is considerable talk of a multiple lawsuit if they try clawbacks to us for their error. Somebody else wrote multiple effects. Oh, that's Troy. Crime, economic damages, school issues, medical health issues. So the bottom line is that therapists will immediately discontinue Meridian and their Meridian clients, because the choice is going to be, I mean, I don't know about you, but we have about 90 to 100 Meridian clients, and we would immediately discontinue services because we can't afford to do free services. It would be either shut down the agency, and this is, I think you got to talk about what a horrible position this is for therapists, to turn away people you've been doing therapy with, or close your doors to all your clients because you can't afford to make your expenses if there is a take back like that. I know our agency cannot afford $176,000 take back. And so you want to ask for a deal to be made because they have the right to do that under their contract. But the state of Michigan also has the right to not contract with them anymore. And so there are other ways through money or through a deal or through agreeing to less money being taken back from them for their error. And that's right, there is a large budget surplus right now. And certainly mental health is a very important thing in the state because it affects school age children. It affects if kids grow up to commit crimes. It affects so many things. And if you limit the access, then you reduce the positive effect on our community. Other things that people want to talk about. When people are not having their mental health needs met, there are missed days at work, poor productivity. People going through a divorce don't have access to treatment. It's going to affect the economy. People can't provide for families because they have mental health issues and they're going untreated because there isn't access. And so therapists will choose to see primarily private clients. If you make it that you cannot afford seeing people with mental health issues that are Medicaid, then what will happen is that people will primarily go to private clients, and that will leave a big part of our community really in a tough situation. Yeah, people have more to add. You can also add by going online. I mean, you can unmute yourself. Yes, Meridian wants to work with people to renegotiate their contracts. It took me, I do have a renegotiate agreed upon contract. The other thing, so everyone knows, there are a lot of people saying their contracted amount. I won't tell you my contracted amount because at this point, they have something written in the contract that we cannot disclose our contracted percentage. I do know that the highest percentage right now, because people are saying all of their numbers, is 120%. So I would go for 120% from Meridian. I would start by asking for that amount. So if 2 to 3 years of overpayments are taken back from therapists and agencies, like I said, hundreds will be closing their door. This is a horrible position to put us in. Therapists should not have to pay for the mistake of Meridian. We had nothing to do with it. By making a deal with Meridian, we stopped mental health treatment from becoming difficult to access. So this is the thing that's important. Meridian made a mistake. I don't know about you guys' experience, but our experience overall has been that Meridian has been one of the largest payers of the Medicaids over the 15 years that we've had a contract with them. Our other experience is that for the most part, they pay on time within a couple of weeks. And I know there are people that really are attacking Meridian. They handled the situation really badly. But they are 40% of the supplier, and that probably is not going to change. How long did it take to get a response from Meridian? They came to me, actually. I would keep sending that, and I would send it to both Carl and Kim. I would put them both in the message. I think one of the reasons that it's taking a long time to get responses is that we've been advertising it. I think they got hundreds of people calling them. So I think that that's difficult. I would keep asking for that. I will, Okay, I would keep asking, and I'm gonna write them a letter that we had a meeting and a lot of people are saying they're not getting responses back. So I'm going to write both Kim and Carl that it is possible they see me. I know that they have told me flat out that they see me the leader behind this, so I may have gotten a quicker response, but I do know that I'm far from the only one that had a contract, and I do know that they are getting a numerous amount of calls. Like hundreds, because this is being advertised everywhere. But I will most definitely reach out to Kim and Carl within a couple of hours. Yeah, Amy, that's the experience I have, is that they are responding for the most part. Maybe they're picking people of larger agencies, maybe they just have so many. I would agree that Meridian is trying to create a win-win situation. They're trying to meet us halfway. The thing is that Kim and Carl also have their hands tied, because this is the decision by their board. The decision by the board is to go to the 6419. They are enacting what they are told that they have to do. Other questions? Anyone want to come online? Do people have more things to say? Anything you want to add to the meeting today?
At the last meeting,
I'm only hearing you partially.
we
You started at
discussed
the
that
last
people
meeting.
would
That's
reach
what I heard.
out saying,
Huh?
right, and I'd like to know how many people have contact, who are online, if possible, who have contact Meridian. Is that last meeting spurred me, and I have done that.
And did you write, Marianne, that they did not recontact you?
I have not heard back yet. It's just been, be honest with you, it's just been a few days, but I've not heard anything
Okay.
back.
I know that they are getting just a monumental number of calls, but I
Sure.
am gonna write on there that people are saying they are not getting return calls. That is
Okay.
not my experience. It sounds like it's not Amy's experience either. But I am going to write that at our meeting that people, because you're not the only one that's writing it, they aren't getting. I've reached out and they did not contact me. Thank you. Appreciate you. Oh, you have to leave. Okay, so I'm going to send Kim a letter today, and Kim and Carl, and say that there are several people that have said that they have attempted to contact them and have not heard phone calls back. Can I use any of your names? Marianne, can I use your name?
Absolutely.
And can I, oh, she's already gone. It looks like I cannot use her name. We have had 20 people online through this meeting, by the way. That's pretty good for a
Wonderful.
meeting like this, actually.
Yes.
We're
And
down to
it's
16
me.
now.
I'm also with
50.
Life Launch Counseling, so that you just add that. They should have gotten
Okay.
a couple days ago.
Okay. I don't know Mallory's last name. You can use my name, Reinhardt Institute. Okay. Mallory, what's your last name? Okay, so Mallory put that I can use her name, but I don't know her last name. So if you could put your last name, I will definitely use that. Charlene Brown, because I'm going to write this letter right after. Anyone else? And does anyone know Mallory's last name? Alicia, are you, I mean, I see your picture up here. Are you, she had to leave. Okay. Does anyone know Mallory's last name? Because she said I could use her name, but I don't know her last name. You're welcome, Suzanne. Okay, so I think we're about done with the meeting unless anyone has anything they want to add. Alicia Brown. Okay, all right, you can use my name. I have a question just above. What's your question, Carol? Do you want to have a meeting again on the 17th, by the way? Carol, you got to unmute yourself.
Can you say the language again for, sorry, the line item increase?
Okay, so it's a line item. I don't have the line item number right now. And on the line item, you want to ask for the line item in the budget that pertains to non-physician payments for mental health. You can use the numbers 90837, and you want to ask that it be returned to the rates that we were receiving. Or you can say, we want to receive what the non-physician rates are now, because that's what we, or the physician rates. Can you post the line item number in the Facebook? When I get it, I will post that, Amy. I don't have it yet. I was hoping to have that for this evening, but I didn't have it. All right. So basically it is to post the line that we are asking for the MDHHS scale for reimbursement, the non-physician payment to be raised to the physician payment. That's kind of an easy way to do it, to be raised to the same amount that we were receiving it in the past, and that is what we would like. So I'm going to schedule a meeting for the 17th. Is people good with that? To see where we're at with all this? Thank you, everybody, for coming. Any questions? If not, we're going to end the meeting. I'm going to wait about a minute. Okay, Troy, can you come in this room so when I end this meeting, I do it correctly with the ending the recording? Okay. Oh, someone is in the waiting room.
Okay.
Oh, hold on. Hi, Suzanne. Susan? 21.
I'll show you.
Susan, the meeting is about over, but we will have this. Oh, she's connecting to audio.
Okay.
So we had 21 people. That was pretty good.
Yeah, very good.
Susan, are you there?
Hi, I'm here.
Hi. Unfortunately, you're here at the very end of the meeting, but this will be online. So, I'm going to be posting it and everything.
I thought it was at 1 o'clock. I'm sorry.
Oh, it's at 12. It was at 12. So we are going to post this online. It might be a couple of days because I don't know what I'm doing. And Andy's coming to help me. So thank you very much. We went over things that you could do. You could write a letter to your legislator and tell them that we would like the rates raised from MDHHS to, Troy, you need to come in here, to MDHHS to,
I think.
Okay.
I've had a couple of meetings with a couple of different payers, and I think what the message I'm hearing from them is basically this: when you sign a contract, you agree to that rate. So let's say their rate is 69, but we understand the fair market value of a rate on the low end is 93, which I think is fair for Medicaid. So our responsibility, what they're saying is then to say, we'll contract with you at 100, it'd be 140%. Is what it would be.
We just
to be within
discussed that. You have someone that
Yep.
agreed to do 140%?
I have not yet. So, but we are going to be credentialing with a new Medicaid payer this week. And they've reached out to us and asked us to be a network. And so, would be amended at 140% and see what happens. And I did submit a 120 for another payer, because I think that's the leverage that I feel we might have in this whole world.
Yes, that's exactly what we just discussed in the, everything we discussed, and we asked
Is
people
to not sign.
We asked people to, do you have the places? Do you have Kim Lubbers and Carl's numbers to do that? Do you also have United Healthcare? Lori Moncherry is the one for United Healthcare.
Well, and so the route that I've been told with the payers is just fax it to networking or provider services. They'll give you a fax number, and it's just a letter to request an amendment to the contract. And
It's
so
much you do that, it's much quicker to go directly to the people that you're going to be connected to in the first place. Lori Moncherry is the one for United Healthcare. And if you look at the chat on here, you will see that in here. It's Lori.Moncherry at optum.com, LORI for Lori. Huh?
I think we have that information. I have most of the contacts for them.
Okay, perfect. All right. And then we're asking to get this and to get the low MDHHS rate raised, but that would also have to be funded. So we're asking our legislators if they can agree to a line item agreement appropriation to raise that, because if we get these agreements at 120, 130, whatever percentage we get, then it's 120, 130 of whatever the raise is also.
Right. Yeah.
So, that's correct. It's too bad you weren't at the meeting, because
I'm so bummed. I can't, I'm so bummed out. And I think the other thing we have to keep in mind as providers is, again, and I'm like a broken record with this.
Well, you froze up.
Every provider shortage area. A broken record, almost every county in the state is a mental health provider shortage area. The payers need us more than we need them.
Yes, that's exactly the truth.
So if you're going to only contract me at 100% of your below fair market value rate, I'm not going to do it. Your people are not going to find a provider, and they're going to start feeling the impact of that. And then with recent events, the MSU shooting, in my opinion, affected way more families than a high school shooting. Neither one is better or worse than the other, but you had thousands of people on campus that day. And thousands of families.
40,000 kids at school, probably affected close to 1 million people.
We need to be addressing the mental health provider shortage area. And the reason for it is reimbursement. That is the reason we have this shortage, is funding. And so right now during this time, I brought that up with a meeting, in a meeting with Meridian this week, is you really need to focus on what's going on in our state right now and opening access to care and reimbursement for it.
So
not in
your
those
meeting
words,
was probably with Kim and Carl?
It was just with Kristen, who's working on our issue with Kristen. I can't say her. It's like Gazniski, but that's it. Can we stop the recording?
Oh, yes, absolutely.
Oh, let me do that.
Okay, let him do it.